Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bone Zone. Today we're going to cover the Coxae. What's important about the Coxae is that we have to be able to tell right from left. So a good way to tell that is you find your acetabulum, which is the joint part of the three bones of the Coxae, and the pubic bone, which is the smaller portion. You orient the pubic bone anteriorly, and your acetabulum we know is lateral, so you can see that the acetabulum is to the right. So you know that this is your right os coxa. Now there's three bones in your os coxa. You have your ilium, which is the top portion. You have the ischium, which is the posterior portion, and it's thicker. And you have your pubis, which is the anterior portion and has two thinner rami with the thinner body, you can see. So we'll be starting with the ilium. The ilium consists of two parts. You have your ala, which is the wing-like portion of the ilium superior, and you have your body, which is the thicker base of the ala. You have four spines, the first one being the anterior superior iliac spine, which is also known as your ASIS. This is the lateral attachment of the inguinal ligament and the origin of the sartorius and rectus femoris muscles. You have your anterior inferior iliac spine, and this is the origin of your rectus femoris muscle. In the back, we have your posterior superior iliac spine and your posterior inferior iliac spine. You also have, on the anterior portion of your ilium, the iliac fossa, which is right here, and that is the origin of your iliacus muscle. You have your auricular surface, which articulates with the auricular surface of the sacrum to form the synovial portion of the sacroiliac joint. You have your iliac crest, which is the top portion, the superior portion, and the origin of your latissimus, your internal abdominal oblique and transversus abdominis muscle. This is also the insertion of your external abdominal oblique muscle. A little lower, you have your arcuate line right here before it becomes the pubis, which forms part of the linea terminalis, which technically is the arcuate line plus the pectineal line and pubic crest, which we will go over later, which demarcates the boundary between the true and false pelvis. And lastly, we have the greater sciatic notch. This is, part of it is the ilium, part of it is the ischium, which we will go over later, and this is the bony superior border of the greater sciatic foramen. Moving on to the ischium, let's orient ourselves again. We have the posterior portion, which is thicker. This is the ischium. Now there's the body, which is the thickest portion of the ischium and the most posterior. And you have the ramus, which is this lower, thinner portion which connects to the pubis. You have your ischial tuberosity, which is the posterior portion, and this is the inferior attachment of your sacrotuberous ligament, which forms the medial borders of the greater, and lesser sciatic foramina. The origin of the hamstrings, biceps femoris, semitendinosus, and semimembranosus muscles are also located at this point. Let's see, we have our ischial spine, which is located right here. This is the lateral attachment of your sacrospinous ligament, which divides the greater sciatic foramen from the lesser sciatic foramen. You have your greater sciatic notch. As we mentioned before, part of that is the ilium, and the second part is the ischium, the inferior portion. And this is the bony lateral and inferior borders of the greater sciatic foramen. There's the lesser sciatic notch located here, which is the bony superior and lateral borders of the lesser sciatic foramen. Finally, we have the pubis, which is the anterior portion of the os coxa. You have your superior rami and your inferior rami, or ramus, and you have your body, which is the thickest portion on the anterior portion of the pubis. You have your pubic tubercle, which is on the anterior lateral side, and this is important as the medial attachment of your inguinal ligament. You have your pubic crest, which is actually formed by both pubis on either side, and it's just the superior border of the body between the tubercle and pubic symphysis. You have your pectineal line, finally, which we mentioned before, and this is where the lacunar ligament and conjoint tendon attach medially. This forms part of the linea terminalis, which demarcates the boundary between the true and the false pelvis. Well, that's our os coxa. and we hope that helps. Thank you.